Hi, Moy, it's Sophie here, and we're still doing this. I bet IceBeam, is probably not even bothered about this anymore or anything like that. But hey, I always start things. I always wanted to finish it. Of course, I've been doing a lot of stuff here with the moving house situation, and that's why I haven't concentrated on this. But still want to do with this. Yeah, so we're at day 11 now. So let's go with it. Which player or players inspired you to become a better player? You may also nominate yourself. I'm not going to nominate myself, to be honest. I mean, although I may have improved since my first match, I feel like the ratio, like how long I've played Tekken competitively for, and how long it's taken me to get to the level that I am at today, and maybe compared to other people's ratios, I personally think I'm doing shit. But we're not talking about me today. Yeah, we're talking about other players. There's loads, and I mean loads of players that inspire me. So I'm only going to speak about 12 of them today, and they are basically going to be in the order that they first inspired me. So if you're not mentioned on this, it's probably because I got inspired by you after, maybe even way after, I got inspired by the following that I'm going to talk about. And there's way too many players that inspire me. There's way too many styles out there that's inspired me. It's quite hard to fit them all in one video. So I'm only going to speak about 12. And I'm also going to try and not talk about each one for too long to make this a long video. But right off the bat, yeah, the first person we're going to talk about is Pez Charlie. He was a subscriber to me for a very long time before we met each other. And when I finally got to meet him, we played Tekken. And what inspired me right off the bat is he showed me how a real King player is supposed to play. You may remember my video called I went to my first Tekken tournament and ... You may remember that I said that I thought that I was at least a blue belt with King, and I probably wasn't even a freaking yellow belt, So and he just showed me what King can actually do, things that I didn't even know you could do with King, and how you can make options easier with King, and just make King that more of a fun character, just more better than ever, And Pez Charlie was the first to show it to me, and these days and ages, Pez Charlie's still kicking my ass. I may get the random here and there on him, may get the random one day I smash him up, but hey, every dog has their bad days and everything and all that. But basically, Pez Charlie was just the first person to show me what a real King player is like, and that's why I definitely had to include him at the start. The second person I'm going to talk about is King J. When I had my tournament match and I lost, and I went into the losers bracket for my first ever time, Pez Charlie said, "Who are you facing in the losers?" And I said, King J. And Pez Charlie was like, "Okay, good luck." Yeah, that's very good, encouraging words there. So I was thinking, so I'm assuming that, so I'm about to play this guy King J. So I'm assuming, yeah, that he must be really good. And he picked Geese, and Geese had only just came out like about a week or two before that. Literally, Geese was just out recently, and King J just beat the shit out of me, destroyed me with Geese. 2 no round browns. I had absolutely nothing for him, and that was pretty inspiring. It was like, shows that, raw man, this guy must be that good, because I already had in my head, yeah, that this guy obviously uses somebody else and just picks up Geese quickly and just do that. I mean, like, that was a little inspiring to know that people can do that. But then after obviously coming into this community and looking up a lot of the players, I come to find that King J is a big content creator, and he's actually done a lot of tutorials to help out people out with Tekken and a lot of other things as well. And he's done a good, brilliant amount of stuff for the community. So that was actually the most inspiring there. So and obviously recently, since then, King J's helped me out with a lot of things, and he's backed me when I've been in a lot of bad situations. So definitely got to include him on there. Yeah, so thanks very much, man. Next, we are going to talk about Strikey, who is another subscriber of mine who'd been subscribed for ages before I actually met him. And he didn't even know that I was going to come to the tournament there that we met at. And I think I might have surprised him there, but we didn't get a chance to actually chat until later on. But now what inspires me about this player, he's a Yoshimitsu player, and he has his own great style as well. And he's a pretty tough guy to face, because he showed me that, he's always shown me that no matter how I fight someone and I look good doing that, I can't do that against every other character, and I've seen Strikey always look like underdog many times, but then wins the matches, and he always pushes through. And one of the things I do feel is that he's probably an underrated player sometimes, because it does seem to me like half the times he goes into tournaments, he ends up facing a really, really great player in the first round, or like the second round, so he never gets the chance to really showcase how good of a player he is. I do believe 100%, that he's clearly in the top 10 Yoshimitsus in the UK, and his style is, I say his style can be not really aggressive. He doesn't use much of the evasion tactics, but his adjustment skills is very, very good as well. And sometimes I always feel like, I almost probably could have him, but then I don't. So we've had some really good sets and stuff in a way, and as I say, man, he's definitely he's definitely one of the inspirations. Definitely at the start of my Tekken competitive play. And next, we're going to talk about Haruna. Now, Haruna is a player that I met in my second tournament, which was in LV, and before that, I do recall when I was at the first competition, I remember hearing Haruna's name being called out many, many, many times, which kind of shows that he's probably a known player there, as he can't be losing matches because he keeps getting called up to go on stream. So I was assuming that he was probably a great player, but I never actually got to see him until the second competition that I had. Obviously, I was knocked out early by Strikey, and I remember it was 1-2, and I remember seeing Haruna go up against this bear player. So this player who's using one of the bears, and the bear was actually taking him out. It was beating him, and just smashed Haruna up the first game. And I was like, wow, this bear is pretty good. But then Haruna just woke up and showed me. By the way, I forgot to mention that Haruna is a Horang player. And at this point, I haven't actually seen what a Horang player can do when handled perfectly. And Haruna just showed me some next Horang combos and tech and Oki, taking advantage of the Oki. Wow, Haruna was just, he made the comeback and destroyed that bear completely. Brought it back to 1-1 and then brought it back 2-1. He just destroyed. I was like, wait, this player is sick, and it made me want to watch more of Haruna's matches. And I carried on, obviously watching the rest of the tournament, and I saw Haruna got to the grand finals in that second tournament. He may have lost it, but it was still a goddamn brilliant match to watch. So now the inspiration is going from more of being more entertained, but you also just think that, I recently heard that Haruna was literally one of the worst players. I know that they all were bad at one point, but he was someone who consistently placed pretty low in tournaments, and commentators were talking about how, dude, I can't believe it that this person who I used to commentate before that always coming out is now always coming top 8 in all these big tournaments. You know, at one point that people were definitely saying he was the best Harang in the UK. So yeah, there's a lot of inspirations there. And for the next character, we're going to talk about Super. Yep, Super Akuma. So now we're coming to my third competition, and we all know what happens in this one. So when I was talking to Pez Charlie, at one point he said, "Yeah, right, you know, this guy over here is the favourite to win." And he pointed at Super Akuma, but Super Akuma was turned around, and you just pointed at his back, really, so I didn't really see him and all that. And he said, but Pez Charlie said, "Yeah, but to be honest, I think my personal favourite to win is Blackbeard." And that this was the strong style qualifier. So that was two people who was the favourite to win. One who was Super Akuma, who was the actual favourite, and Pez Charlie's favourite, which was Blackbeard. Now, when I started to see, well, after I got my ass battered at that tournament, because I got really battered in that tournament, what I decided to do was just watch the rest of the matches. When I started to see Super Akuma on stream, you know, I started to see the way he was just battering everyone. I mean, when I was happy when I saw Akuma being in Tekken, because it was like something different, a nice good guest character that could add a bit of difference to this game. And I felt the way they put him perfectly. I know a lot of people may not like Akuma today, but well, when I saw what Super Akuma was doing with Akuma, seeing him do all these next combos, I thought, right, man, this guy must practice these combos like every day. Because I saw the combinations that he was doing, and how he was just drilling through everybody. I think he like beat almost everyone 2-0. Not even and I even saw him face Strikey at one point, and he made good use of Strikey. And I'm thinking, rah, Strikey kicks my ass the way he's kicking my ass, and this guy smashes him up. So wow, you think, rah. But Super Akuma did bring a lot of hype to the crowd as well. So it kind of so there was a bit of inspiration there, because you want to be that better player. You want to it made me want to like do up my damage with King, and it made me want to like learn King at a better stage. Just those were the sort of things that made me want to become a better player as well. And the best thing about with Super Akuma is that been talking about how things since meeting these guys. Well, Super Akuma has always helped me out when we have sets and everything and all that. And now I'm actually taking online lessons from Super Akuma as well, which has actually been a big help recently. And obviously you saw the match here that I just had with him recently. He destroyed me, even without Akuma. So, but that day, yeah, I was very entertained, by some of the sets that I saw him do, and I definitely like his playstyle, and there is a lot of inspiration there. And that obviously leads us to the next one, which is Joeplex. So obviously, as I said already, Super Akuma was the favourite to win that, and Joeplex, we all saw what he did. He came from the bottom, came from the losers side. Well, he was actually in the winners final. He only just went to the losers final and came back to that. But he really, really fought hard to come back and beat Super Akuma. And what was just inspiring about that is just how he just carried on, not letting up, just came back when it didn't even look like it was possible at one point. And he just made a really big comeback to reset the brackets, and then started to look like he was going to go straight into smashing him into a 3-0, and then Super Akuma came back, and then he come back again, and it was probably one of the best sets I've ever seen in my life, and that set was so inspiring. I know we all know what happened at the end after Joeplex won it, but still, what he did in that tournament was inspiring as well. And it's just good to know that, hey, you can be facing the biggest favourite, probably the best player in there, and on that day, you just become the best. It can just happen, just a situation like that. You know, you just keep fighting, never ever back down. And that was actually inspiring because I kind of took that with me when I kind of took that with me into my next tournament where I was getting battered, but I carried on coming back until I won the match. And on that day, I met the next person I'm going to talk about, and that is Deathborn, also known as Gorgorath. Well, he was Gorgorath back then, but he's using Deathborn today, and that. And now Deathborn is definitely an inspiration because he's also a king player. I remember when I went to Luton for that tournament, and I met up with other king players. Well, actually another king player, which was Abominable. We're going to get into Abominable in a minute. I do recall in that tournament when I had to face Deathborn after winning 2 games, 2 sets that, man, I looked like I was on the verge of losing. I was so shocked that I came back and won the way I did. But when I faced Deathborn, it was great to see that he was another fellow arcade stick player, you know, and using King as well. His execution was absolutely crazy. His movement with King is just overly amazing. I feel like just movement and execution alone, this King player could be the best King player ever. I really believe that. I really believe it. I really believe, yeah, that execution-wise, yeah, he could have like the best King in the world, maybe. So that's how high I rate that. But he's also inspiring, yeah, because he's also someone who's really helped me out as well, you know, with learning punishment and stuff like that. And also, he's kind of like my execution coach because he's helping me execute a lot of things. I feel like there's a lot of moves that I wasn't doing properly with King, but that I'm doing now because of him. So, you know, there's always a lot to learn off everybody. So I obviously I had to have him on this list as well. Let's now talk about Abominable. You know, obviously I met Abominable a long time before because of the fact that he was commentating my first match. You know, so I was speaking to him on Twitter and everything and all that before we actually met up in Luton. But the time when we actually played each other was a bit after that, and that's when I started to see how good his King was. A lot of people were saying that he was the best King player in the UK, and I see why. You know, it's like his execution is great as well, not as good as Deathborn's, but he has shown that that it's not always about the execution. He has this style with King, like he does every move at the right time. He does each move at the right time when needed. He seems to know when to come. Sometimes you'll forget about a certain move with King, and he'll just bring it out at the most random time that he needs it. You would just forget about it, and those sort of things. I feel like is what will just give you wins. He always used to place high in these tournaments because he always just. So it's quite entertaining to watch because you're seeing a King who uses everything at the right time and best efficiency. You know, he just does what works. It's almost like a formula of just what just wins tournaments. He just has the right mindset. He knows what to do. He knows how people go, and he just knows exactly what to do with King. Best O-key situation. You know, he just uses King to a very good, efficient way that I like. He's also obviously a Marduk main as well, but because of Marduk not coming until Season 2, he obviously had to use King for a very long while, and everything I've seen him do with King has absolutely been phenomenal. Definitely a perfect King player, definitely a lot of inspiration there, definite. And for the next player, we are going to talk about a more higher King. We're going to talk about Lil Margin. Obviously, as you know, I'm a massive fan of Lil Margin. I've got 2 of his t-shirts. I know I'm not wearing them now, but I remember just one point asking Pez Charlie, hey, who do you say is the best king in the world? And he just said Lil Margin. And I was watching Lil Margin's streams. I got to see what he was doing with King on streams, and I felt like what he was doing was kind of what I said Abominable was doing, using all the right moves at the right time, using all the great things. But what made Lil Margin stand out even more is he has real good tech traps, really good tech. Some things that, wow, how the hell do you find this sort of secret stuff with King? And it's like, you know, he's such just a great player with that as well, and he's got real good execution as well. So he has basically just a whole lot. And, you know, that's inspiring from the get-go. But then what was obviously more inspiring is what he did at EVO 2018. Now, I'm going to share something funky with you, yeah? I actually spoke to Lil Margin on FaceTime, yeah, before he did what he did at EVO 2018. And he told me that he played JDCR in casuals, and JDCR actually had no answer to his offense. And I thought, wow. So when I actually saw JDCR was about to play Lil Margin in EVO, my mindset was like, oh my days, could Lil Margin win this? And after the first game where JDCR like took him apart, it was like, maybe JDCR has realized what he's done and sort of made adaptations. And then in the second game, Lil Margin just more or less proved to me what he was saying to me on the FaceTime. He just demolished JDCR next game. And then in the final game, took the first 2 rounds like it was just on that, and almost took the last round. But then JDCR made it a really brilliant set by coming back for the next 2 rounds and came down to the final rounds. Yeah, it was a real tough match. But what Lil Margin did throughout the whole entire EVO 2018 run, which is what inspired everybody. Now I can honestly speak for everybody here. He didn't just clearly inspire me during all of that. He inspired many people, because in EVO 2019, you saw more kings than ever. You know why this is such a big inspiration to me, right? Yeah, because a lot of people knew about this, but I was actually speaking to people and asking them, can a king player really win a big tournament? Because before this, all I kept seeing here was Mishima's winning a tournament, or probably a Dragunov player, maybe a Brian player, maybe a Paul. And that, yeah, maybe, yeah, no, that's a Mishima. I was going to say Devil Jim, but that's a Mishima. Yeah, but still, yeah, that's all I was kept seeing at the top. That's all I kept seeing winning competitions. I never really saw most other players. So I was wondering, could a king player really do it? Obviously, Lil Margin proved, yes, he can. It can, and that just inspires you to just keep going. Because there has been a couple of times I was thinking, should I drop king? Am I unworthy? Is my playstyle not actually good for handling king? You know, Lil Margin just inspired me to just say, hey, just keep going with king. Maybe get a secondary, but keep going with king. So that's kind of how that felt with that. So I had to just carry on going with that, man. And next, we are going to talk about Rukang. And Rukang, he's an inspiration because he is the type of person that just shows you can really be yourself in Tekken. You know, he does things which no one expects. He has the best mind games. You know, obviously he's trained by some of the greats. And, you know, when he plays against me, he seems to play in this very, very aggressive way. It's like when I play against Harun or other great players, it's like I would try something on them and it just won't. It may not work because they'll know how to defend it. They'll know how to sort of counter it. They'll know what they know what it is. If I try something and all that, yeah, they'll just know what to do when I try it. Whereas Rukang just comes straight at me like a lion or a hyena, like he doesn't give me the chance to try it, which is right, which is the way to do it, obviously. I mean, it's like though, it didn't work against the other people because they countered it, or they countered it, or they defended it, or whatever. But with Kang, it didn't work because I couldn't even freaking get to do it. So that's what I say about Kang there. Obviously, what makes him an inspiration there, he, like I said, he has his own character. Like, it's like his other characteristic. Everyone knows him as the Hell Sweep God. Oh, by the way, did I forget to mention here that he's the best Bob player in EU? That's just straight up. And he uses Bob in just that perfect sort of way that just shows what his style is like. And before Bob, he actually used to use Roger a lot. And when I think of Roger's unpredictable moves, I can imagine how this player could probably do with Roger. So I guess I need to look at some of his old matches more, and hopefully Roger and Alex does come back, and we'll see Kang do some more crazy stuff. But with his Bob, I've definitely seen a lot of crazy stuff, and his Hell Sweeps are just crazy. I saw the Hell Sweep compilation that he done, and he is definitely the Hell Sweep God, and that is an inspiration that he can sort of come up with his own specials and everything. That it makes me sort of want to come up with my special. More on that later. And the last player I'm going to talk about who inspires me is actually who was in my last video right here. So yeah, we're going to talk about Kane and Trench. And I think the first time I actually met, but the first time I saw Kane and Trench play, it was probably his bad day, probably the worst day. Remember we said about every dog has their days. Yeah, I feel like that day was probably just a bad day, because I actually saw Kane getting beaten in this team tournament that Elf was hosting, and so I didn't get to see how good he was. But I knew that he probably was a great player because everyone was speaking highly about him. Everyone was already saying that he's the best Yoshimitsu in the EU, not even just UK, in EU. So I knew I had more to see later on, and when I started to see him in more tournaments, I started to see him win every freaking tournament left, right, and center, and no one having a chance against him and stuff. Like, then I started to see, oh wow, this guy is sick. His Yoshimitsu has all the evasiveness and aggression here and there, like just perfect movement and placement with everything. It's like he just does everything at a championship level. He plays on the same level as just most all the high best Tekken players, and he's done just crazy things as well, boy. So it's like he's done a lot for this community, and he's helped out a lot of people as well. He's helped me out in a few cases as well after we've played loads of sets. One funny little fact is that it actually took me a year and a half to beat him. I've always kept giving him sets. I've always kept trying again. He's always beat me stuff like 19-0, 21-0, that sort of stuff. Yeah, he was always just beating me. It's almost like I always use this example. Yeah, it's always like somebody who does boxing for a couple of months and then goes in the ring and fights Anthony Joshua. It's just like that. There's so much levels to this game, and I always learn a lot, when I'm getting beat by these real good players and everything like that, yeah. But there is obviously the inspiration, because you want to be just as good as these players. You want to learn, you want to see what these players do, and you want to sort of try and adapt to it. And it's always inspiring. It helps me think about, oh, what should I do? Should I try this? Should I try that? And like I said already, what I will end up doing is try this, come up with an idea, and then I may go ahead and ask Kane or Haruna or Kang or anybody really for a set, and I'll try what I'm doing to them, and it'll be like, doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. But it's always inspiring to just try it, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's all 12 players I want to talk about. So like I said, there is, I'll give a quick shout out, to a few more as well, We obviously got K-Wiss, who is one of the best high rank players in the in EU as well. So there's that. We got the Misty, who's also a great high rank player, and he's helped me out a lot. So, you know, cheers, man. And he's, you know, I feel he's probably a little bit underrated as well. Probably because he doesn't go to many tournaments, but I reckon someone like him should go more tournaments. But he's also a really good player at other games as well. He's really good at Smash Brothers. He's really good at Dead or Alive. And I know he's starting to work his way up with Soul Calibur, you know. And also going to give a shout out, to Grimless, Lord Grimless, because he, not only is he pretty good at Tekken, but he is like a 2D wizard. I think he's one of those people who are just great at fighting games in general. You know, I feel like if he spent more time on Tekken, he would probably be up there as well. But 2D is his passion, so I've got to respect that. But and when it comes to the community, he's done a fuckload of things for the community. Did I mention he's the ELF boss? So yeah, he's done a fuckload of for the community. So he's definitely inspiring gamer person as well. Also, I'll quickly give a quick shout out to Chicken Maru, because he's a really good player who's just come into the game like recently, you know. Also, Guki Akuma as well. He's somebody who just sits down and just practice combos every time, boy. You know, and there's loads more players, but I'll be here forever, boy. You know, obviously, I'm definitely most of the top Korean players all inspiring, especially Ranshu, who used Panda to win the Tekken World Tour Finals. You got him. Then you got Jun Ding. I feel very, very honoured that I got to play a good set with Jun Ding. And once again, it was like me facing Anthony Joshua with one hand tied behind my back. Like there was just no point. But it was brilliant. Still enjoyed. Also, I got to play Knee. I got to play Knee one game. Very, very happy with that. And obviously I'm very inspired by the Pakistani players as well, and the African scene starting to come into the scene as well. So there's so many players that I could be inspired by. All the EU players, a lot of other American players and all that. Yeah, Cuddlecore, Joe Fury, Shadow, and all that. And more EU players, the Phantom, you know, Mihawk, Kalak, Tishumon. Man, I could be here forever, you know. But so I want to end the video there. So next video, guys, right? Well, I'm going to start working on day 12 as early as possible. But I've also done some streams recently, and what I want to start doing is just exporting those streams more to this channel, just so I can got more content for you guys coming out more frequently. You know, give something to you guys to watch. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do there. That's what it's going to be. So thanks very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll speak to you all later. Love who you are.